The more you know, the less you carry. What an incredibly dangerous phrase that people have misinterpreted and could be deadly, much like many of the other phrases in survival. It's really, really bad if you misinterpret it. My name's Steve Marvel. This is Crucial Survival. I'm a survival instructor, and I'm going to tell you why I really hate this phrase. Mors Kahansky, or Chi, depending on who says it, but he says Mors Kahansky in his video, which is linked in the description. The father of bushcraft, they say, the revered Mors, and his book being the seminal work on bushcraft. I'll review that book one day, not because I particularly don't like it very much. In fact, Ray Mears did a version of it, and it's significantly better. Similar content, significantly better. Moore's book is badly edited and goes off on tangents. I don't like it particularly well. And so this phrase, the more you know, the less you carry. What is it that you're not going to carry if you know more? What is it that you have known about that you don't carry something? Now, experience will tell us that if you're carrying 3 liters of water, then yes, it's heavy, but you need it. Or do you? You can just have less water and a bottle, but then you've got to decide whether or not, or know whether or not you're going to encounter some water source. But what is it that I go hiking with that all of a sudden I'm not going to need? I've got waterproofs. I've got things to keep you warm. I've got ways to light fire. I've got a knife. I've got a map. I've got a compass. People find your way without a compass, and then they don't use a compass. They don't take a compass. People learn how to do bow drill, fire lighting, and they don't take anything else associated with fire lighting. How ridiculously dangerous is this? What is wrong with taking a lighter or something? Yes, it's experience that tells you things like, yes, you can take a Zippo with you and you can fill it up when you leave. But do you carry a spare flint? That's what little hole, by the way, is for in the padding in a Zippo. It's for a spare flint. That little nugget of information is really, really important because you don't know when a flint's going to go. But that's just experience that's taught me that. But there's nothing wrong with carrying a fire steel. It's really, really small, and you can pretty much light a fire with that, no problem. So what that is that's carrying something spare, something it may be harder to light something, but it's super, super reliable. You're not going to break it. It's not going to run out of anything, and it's really light, and it's not very bulky at all. If you watch this video by Mors, then there is not about knowing things and carrying less. It's about experience. It's about these are the things that you carry if it's mosquito time, if it's tick time, if it's snake country. This is just experience. And that is not going to make you carry less That's going to make you carry the right things, which is completely different. He's saying as well about survival, and he's saying about carrying a hook in his hat. When do you go? Are you going to need that? Yes, you can fish, but when are you going to want to fish? What do you have to know? What is this knowledge that means you don't have to carry a fishing? Why are you carrying a fishing rod? Do you say to yourself, I know how to fish, so I don't take a snack bar because I can make a fish and a fire and cook a fish? What is it that people think they could know? What are all of the things? Protection from the wind and the rain and keeping warm. How are you going? What is it that you know that makes you carry less? Lighting a fire, using a knife. Interestingly, he basically says don't carry an axe, which I think is really, really funny. He didn't mention a saw either. He basically said you could do this and make a saw. Now, that's not super reliable. But that's just a piece of equipment. And the knowledge of how to make that into a saw and experiences how to use it. This is arguably no more carry less. This is one of the possibilities. This is making a saw so you don't have to carry a saw. Do you need a saw? That is a thing. Yeah. Do you need a saw? You don't need an axe. Do you need a saw? Do you need a knife? Where are we that we are not carrying something that we would have carried before? Is it the fact that somebody doesn't know how to treat water, so they carry gallons of it? It's just a piece of equipment you can buy. You can put that on that YouTube, on Google, and find that piece of information out. Is that knowing more and carrying less? Is that all it takes? A bit of Google? That's not in the spirit of it. But what is going on? The most dangerous thing that's going on is that people are saying, I have this skill, which means not that I can replace a piece of equipment with something else, is that I can replace this piece of equipment with knowledge. And that's the distinction. A skill and a piece of equipment being replaced by knowledge is very, very dangerous indeed. Yeah. Very, very dangerous to replace skill or knowledge. Sorry, skill or some form of resource. I've probably got that wrong before. It is very dangerous to replace a perfectly legitimate piece of equipment or skill with knowledge, or to think that you know something so you can carry a crapper version or simply lighter version of the same piece of equipment. I want people in the comments to help me, to correct me, to say, this is something you're getting wrong, Steve. This is the type of knowledge that people can have, which means they carry less. I'll just quickly run through what I carry when I'm hiking. Yeah. Waterproof, windproof, keeps you warm, map, compass, knife, steel, hat, snack bars. If I'm going hiking, then I'll take lunch. If I'm just going out for, let's say, a few hours, then I've good food for when I go, and I'll take some snacks, be it fruit or nuts or snack bars or whatever it might be. What else might I carry? I say map, compass, so I know where I'm going. I make sure the phone is charged. I don't generally, for hours, take an extra charger. Stick it battery saver mode. Make sure my watch is all charged up because it's got interesting navigation features. I will take a torch because I know that it might get dark. If I get lost in the fog, because it's really, really easy to get lost in fog, certainly on Dartmoor, they're not lost as such, like lose your way, so you have to backtrack and go a slightly different way. You need a torch because you have to go really, really slowly. If you sprain an ankle, you need to go really, really slowly. Yeah. Would you replace your first aid kit because you can make a poultice out of sphagnum moss? No, that would be ridiculous. So yeah, I take a first aid kit. Yeah, I take snack bars. I take water, quite often in a bottle rather than 3 liters of it. But if I don't know where I'm going, if I don't know the availability of water when I'm going, I just take a lot of water. That's okay. I'm fit enough to carry that water. I take a good rucksack because I know that taking a crap rucksack is actually quite painful if you do it wrong. What is it? Tell me. Tell me what it is that people know, which means they carry less. You might say, I can make a shelter out of bracken. Yeah. Therefore, I don't need to carry a tent. I say, you make a fucking tent in the dark, in the rain, with bracken, then I'll give you that works. I will give you a free survival course. Yeah, that is a thing. Yeah, because that is some feat. Yeah, to be waterproof and windproof and warm in the dark, in the rain. I'm not saying you're not got a torch, because you have got a torch. Because even though you can make a torch with the oily bark of a birch and fire and on all of this, or maybe you've got a candle in your survival kit. What is it that you know? Do you know all of the bazillion things you can do with paracord? Moores was saying you can make a moose snare. Why? Why would you have? And he put bags and bags of paracord into his survival kit, which was huge. It's about this big. He's going somewhere and might get stuck, so much so that he will have to make a moose snare. If you were going to go that far out that you might get stuck, moose is not necessarily what you are looking for. If you're going that far out and you might get stuck, a personal locator beacon is what you're looking for. If I'm going to go out and some really, really high key middle of places where nobody goes, I'm taking a personal locator beacon or a sat phone, and all the sort of equipment that I might need. Because though it is the case that I can make epic signal fires, I mean, really, really good ones, I don't want to. I want to to say, I am here. I've got a problem. Yeah. Come and get me. Or I would like to have a flare. Yeah. There's flares don't cost a fortune. They are nice and small. Yeah. They operate very, very, very quickly. Yeah. And what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm missing that means that people bandy, pardon me, this phrase around so much? The danger associated with all those things that I carry every time I go hiking, even if it's like for 4 hours. Yeah. Not the sat phone and all of that jazz. I mean, all of them, something to be, if I sprain my ankle and it's late and it gets colder, then I've got an extra jumper. Yeah. Because I don't like getting cold, because cold's bad. Yeah. I've got a first aid kit, because if I sprain my ankle, I want to do it. I want to make it work. Yeah. Most people don't actually know how to use the contents of their own first aid kit, let alone not having done a first aid course at all. Most people have their first aid kit and have never opened it, don't even know what's in it, don't know that the scissors in a first aid kit are so shit they don't even cut plasters. Yeah. If you've got that plaster roll jazz and your scissors don't work, what are you going to do? Use a knife? It's really complicated. Yeah. What sort of plasters have you got there? You know that tape? The tape that comes with standard first aid kits is skinny as ock. You need to put different tape in, which is bigger. So the more Steve knows, the more he carries, because he wants more sensible scissors and he wants tape that actually works. Yeah. Now, I don't go into my first aid kit and go, I could probably lose half the plasters, one of the safety pins, and all of this, because I use a risk assessment to determine how much kit I need in a first aid kit. First aid kits are light, yeah, and they're not bulky. So they're not a big problem. They're the sort of thing that you don't need. You know what I don't take? Is I don't take a first aid kit in a tin with fishing gear and sewing gear and all of that jazz. Yeah. If I get a rip in my waterproofs, then I am going to use medical tape and plasters. The chances of me getting a rip in my trousers is so small, I will use a whole bloody roll if I need to. Yeah. Is that the more you know, the less you carry? Or is that just experience? Is that just thinking about it? Are these things that you're supposed to know ancient skills? These largely bushcraft-oriented skills. And I'm not dissing bushcrafters at this point, because so many people bandy the phrase around they are not bushcrafters. And in fact, bushcrafters are more likely to be able to survive with a number of these skills because survival people actually take gear. Normal people, just climbers take gear. It might be heavy, but then all their other gear is so heavy. What is it that you know that means you carry less? I know that steel is heavier than aluminium. That's a thing. Yeah? It's just a thing you could have. If you're camping, that means you can use aluminium pots. You know what? I use a steel kettle because it works better than an aluminium kettle. I use a steel pot because it works better than an aluminium pot. See what I mean? I don't use a plastic lunchbox. I use one of those SIG aluminium lunchboxes. You know why? Because if you fall over, you will crush a plastic lunchbox. And if that's in your gear, you will make a mess, especially if you've got tomatoes in your sandwich, because everybody knows that tomatoes in a packed lunch sandwich is a disaster. Okay, so I know that. Do you know that? Does that mean I don't put tomatoes in my sandwich for my packed lunch? Does that make my packed lunch lighter? Is that the less I carry? The more I know. I know more about packed lunches. Therefore, I carry less. No, piss off. That's ridiculous. What is it that people know? Look at the books. Loads and loads and loads of books. What is it in all of these books? Like 7 medical books, foraging books. Okay. You're a forager. Yeah. You forage. What is it that you know that's so good that you wouldn't take a packed lunch? Even if you don't know the area at all, would you realistically stand up and you say, I'm a forager. I do not need to take a packed lunch. I shall forage my lunch. No, foragers are amazing. Yeah. I am a survival forager that can forage survival food. To presuppose that I could live for an extended period on the most beautiful tasting foraged food would be amazing. If I was surviving, I would love a forager, not because they get great more varieties of food. It's the fact that they can get tasty food. And when I'm teaching on courses, people like nettles, but people are not a big fan of nettles on day 5 of the course, and quite bitter tasting leaves that might be really, really good for you, like plantain, but they don't like it too much. Carbs, really, really difficult to find. Yeah, you have to have particular knowledge of that. And foragers, great, but they wouldn't use their knowledge to get rid of the need to carry a packed lunch. So that is one of the most knowledgeable people. I can do, with all my search and rescue knowledge, all of my signaling knowledge, I still wouldn't not carry a phone, because that would be stupid. Yeah. To not have a phone would be ridiculous. And Mars is talking about sleeping bags and this, that, and the other, and fires versus sleeping bags and all of that. It's like having boughs of a tree instead of a sleeping bag. And what is it that you know? Is it that you know that a sleeping bag is better, which is what he implied in the video? Because at that point, you know something, and so you're carrying more. The answer to what's going on here is that the more you know, the more likely you are to carry the correct equipment. Weight, not like, it doesn't matter what the weight is, but you're going to take the correct equipment. If you think you might get really cold, you will carry more weight in thermal wear. It might be that you've got enough money to make it all lightweight. So your knowledge of the more knowledge and experience that you have, the more informed you are as to what to carry. Not that you necessarily carry less, and not that a piece of knowledge can replace a piece of equipment. And that is the correct philosophy, not purely replacing things with acquired knowledge, especially if that knowledge is acquired from armchair experts, Pinterest, and is not practiced. Comments, please. Really, really want to know your opinion.
Hello again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because when you do so, you will not only ensure that you miss nothing, but your questions and comments will benefit the channel and enhance each episode for everybody. I'll see you in the next one, and in the meantime, keep well, stay at home, and save lives.